Hi and welcome to another LRCC Soundbite. Last week I talked about Rahab, a woman who wasn't an Israelite but became part of both Israel's story and the Christian story. This week I'm going to talk about a guy called Samson. Now he was an Israelite. In fact, even before he was born, an angel visited his mother and told her she was going to have a very special baby. It sounds a bit familiar, doesn't it? But no, this isn't the story of Jesus. This is Samson. You see, from time to time, God sent special people to help out Israel. It was the nation that God had adopted as his own, so why wouldn't he? Sometimes they even use the word Messiah. We tend to think of that word today as meaning Jesus. But actually, Messiah is just a Hebrew word that means a leader who saves. Another word used in the Hebrew is judge. God sent a string of people that the Bible calls judges to them at different times. Each one of them, yes, they had a role legally in trying cases, and they would also take part in some religious ceremonies from time to time. But most importantly, they would be leaders in battle. At the point where this story happens, Israel has been occupied by another powerful nation, the Philistines. For the last 40 years or so, they've been under Philistine rule, so God sent them a judge. His name? Samson. The angel that visited his mum told her that there were some special conditions for Samson. He was never to touch a dead body, he was never to drink alcohol, and he was never to have his hair cut. Those things would mark him out as special for God. And so that's how he was brought up, and that's how he lived his life. He was a bit of a legend to the Israelites. I suppose, if he was a superhero today, his special skills would be probably bare knuckle fighting and powerlifting. He was fast and he was incredibly strong. The Israelites were involved in what we might call a guerrilla war. One side did something, the other side took revenge. And because of Samson's great strength and leadership, the Philistines took a lot of interest in him personally, and they attacked his family. On the occasion that they killed his wife and her father, who incidentally were themselves Philistines, Samson ended up taking on the whole Philistine army, and the story goes that he killed over 1,000 of them single-handedly with nothing more than the jawbone of a donkey. Now Samson led the Israelites for 20 years, but despite everything, he was by no means a perfect man. He met another Philistine girl called Delilah, who ended up tricking him into revealing those original conditions that God had given him. In particular, she got hold of that thing about not cutting his hair. When he was asleep one night, the Philistines came in and they cut his hair off and captured him. And that covenant agreement with God was broken, and he had no strength left to resist them. But I've told you all that and built up to that because that's not the end of the story. I mean, yes, after he was captured, his hair did begin to grow again. But I think more importantly, Samson truly understood what it meant to have the power of God in him and working through him. He didn't lose his faith. He didn't lose his trust in God. And then there came a time that all the leaders of the Philistine nation came together for a party. And they decided they were going to have Samson brought in so they could mock him and make fun of him. Samson prayed to God, probably quietly, probably with nobody listening, asking God to be with him one last time. God heard, and Samson literally brought the house down. He pushed over the pillars that were holding the place up, and the whole place collapsed, and everybody, Samson included, was killed. So what can we take away from this? Well, I think for me the most important thing is that it doesn't matter even if I mess up big time. God still listens to me and will still work through me. There's nothing we can do that puts us too far away from God. Now, I think Samson was convinced he'd messed up, and he'd messed up in a way that there was no way back from. But he learnt, just as we can, that God never abandons us. All we have to do is pray to him, and that doesn't have to be big and noisy and special. It can just be quietly. Whatever words that we have to give to God, and he will hear everything that we say, and he will give us what we need, because God never gives up on you. I hope you have a great week. God bless, and I'll see you next time.